Welcome all the students to video lecture on electronic clearing services. In short, this concept is known as ECS. Electronic clearing service is an electronic mode of fund transfer. It is a virtual method of transferring amount from one account to another account. Electronic mode of fund or virtual method of payment is such type of method in which we do transfer the amount to other accounts through various gadgets. For example, by utilizing the applications like mobile banking, internet banking, phone pay, Google Pay, Beam application, these all are the apps which we use in our day-to-day transactions in order to transfer the funds from one account to another. That mode is known as electronic mode of fund transferring. It is also known as virtual method of transferring funds from one account to another. So this electronic clearing services is one of the electronic mode of fund transfer. It is one of the virtual method of making payments. So in this particular lecture, we are going to discuss the concept of electronic clearing services. The electronic clearing services, as I mentioned, it is an electronic mode of payments as well as it is also an electronic mode of receipts. Electronic mode of payments in the sense when any organization or the institution make payments for their employees or while making a payment to the employees, the organization transfer the funds. They make payment for the employee for their work. In the same way, the institutions like electricity board, water bill collecting board, insurance companies, government, they do collect the amount from the general public. They do collect the charges for rendering various services to the public. So they get receipts from the beneficiaries. Here we are talking about two different organizations. One organization, it is the organization which makes the payment to the beneficiaries, and the another organization which collects the funds from the beneficiaries. In electronic clearing services, it is an electronic mode of payments and it is electronic mode of receipts. The electronic clearing services is applicable in repetitive transactions or periodic transactions. What is meant by this repetitive and periodic transactions? I will elaborate this particular thing with an example. Just now I mentioned, consider one organization or an institution. Consider the government as an institution. In order to make a payment to the workers or to the employees, the government make their payments on a repetitive basis. The government make a payments to their employee on monthly basis. Every month they have to transfer the salary into their account. So it is repetitive. Monthly they used to transfer the salary on their account. So it is repetitive transaction. It is also known as periodic transaction. For example, if we consider A private firm, the private industries or a private firm employ the human resources for specific purpose, and for their work they do make payments to the workers on periodic basis. Sometimes they do make payments weekly, they do make payments for 15 days, they do make payments daily. So it is on the periodic basis of the periodic transaction. So whenever the organization make a repetitive payments or the periodic transactions, then in order to perform that repetitive and periodic transactions, electronic clearing services system is used. This electronic clearing services is related with the bulk payments and bulk collections. Just now, while giving an example of a government, I mentioned the government make salary or payment to their employees. Large number of employees used to work under government organization. In a big firm, large number of employees used to work in a industrial unit. So for the purpose of salary, they have to make the bulk payments. And at the other side, the electricity board, the municipal corporation, they do collect the funds from the public for the services they rendered. For the electricity services, the electric board do collect the light bill from the general public. Means from all the public who are utilizing the electricity services, the electricity board will collect from all those public. They collect the bulk collections. So in this way, the electronic clearing services is the services which is applicable, which is used for the bulk payments and which is also used for the bulk collections. The facilities bulk transfer of money from one bank account to many bank account and vice versa. Means the electronic clearing services facilitates bulk transfer of money from one bank account to many bank accounts and vice versa. It means in our example, we considered that the government used to make the salaries of their employees. It is the bulk transfer of amount. To whom the government transfers the salary? To their employees the government used to transfer their salaries. Used to transfer the money in their account. It means it is a process of bulk transferring of money from one bank account to many bank accounts. From the account of the government, that is one bank account, the government used to transfer the money to various banks accounts of their employees. That is what the bulk transfer of money from one bank account to many bank accounts. In the second case, vice versa means opposite case or the reverse case. While collecting, for example, in our another example, the electricity board, while collecting the light bill from the general public, what they do from the various bank accounts or from the different bank accounts of the beneficiaries, they do collect the receipts, they do collect the funds in a one bank. Means different customers who use the electricity services from different bank accounts, they transfer the light bill to the single bank account of the electricity board. So this is what the meaning of electronic clearing services. With the help of these few points, just now I explained the concept of electronic clearing services. Now in the second part of the lecture, we will see what what are the types of electronic clearing services. Here, the first type of electronic clearing services is ECS credit. What is mean by ECS credit or electronic clearing services credit? There are two types of electronic clearing services. The first one is ECS credit and second one is ECS debit. Means electronic clearing services credit, and second type is electronic clearing services debit. Now we will see what is ECS credit. It is to credit large number of beneficiaries having account in different banks. In our imaginary example just now I mentioned, the government as an institution, the government used to credit the amount of salary in different bank accounts of their employees. This process is known as ECS credit. Means from the government institution, the amount will be credited on the accounts of all the employees or all the beneficiaries. This process is known as ECS credit process. The amount will be credited on the beneficiary's account. So in this case, what happens? The amount will be debited from a single account or amount will be deducted from the single account. It means as a government, as an institution, the government is having its own account. In order to make the payment for the salaries of the employees, the whole amount will be debited from the single account of the government, and that single account will be distributed among different accounts of the employees or different accounts of their beneficiaries. So that's why the single debit to the paying institution, the single debit transaction took place and multiple credit transactions took place, because the credit, this amount which is debited from the government account, that will be credited on the multiple accounts or the multiple credit to beneficiaries account. The payment, for example, the payment towards the salary of the employees. In our imaginary example, I just given the example of the government servants. It will be applicable to any organization, any institutions who hire the laborers, who hire the employees, who hire the human resources. In case of private industries, the private industries do hire the human resources and make pay salaries on the regular basis. So this service, the electronic clearing services credit, this type is applicable for making payment towards salaries, making payment as a pension to the pensioners, to pay the interests, and to pay dividend to the beneficiaries. This is what the first type of ECS, that is ECS credit. Now I will explain the second type, that is ECS debit. In this particular process of ECS debit, it is related with to debit large number of customers having account in different banks. In this particular concept, in this particular type, the amount is debited from the account of various customers. In our imaginary example, initially we considered the electricity board. When the electricity board collects the light bill from the customers in a virtual way, what happens? The customers, they do pay the light bill or electricity bills through various bank accounts. Means the customers do pay the light bill from their various bank accounts or different bank accounts. So this the debit transactions, the debit transaction happens, took place from different accounts of the customers. In this process, what happens? This all debited amount will be credited in a single account of the service provider. In our imaginary example, electricity board is the service provider institution. It is the institution which is providing electricity to the general public. So the amount of light bill will be collected, or it will be added, it will be credited to the single account of electricity board. In the process, the multiple debit process will takes place here. The amount will be debited from the accounts of multiple customers, different customers. So multiple debit from customer account took place and single credit took place here in this particular process. For example, the payment which the customers do for the telephone bill, the electricity bill, water bills, the public or the people do pay these bills after regular intervals. They do pay to the government agencies, municipal corporations, they do pay water bills, electricity bills, they do pay for the electricity board, they do pay the telephone bills, and other example is tax and insurance premium collection. So this is what the second type of electronic clearing services, that is electronic clearing services debit. So in this way, in this particular lecture, I explained the meaning of electronic clearing services and the types, that is ECS credit and ECS debit. So in this particular lecture, I will stop here. Thank you for your listening. Thank you very much.